Okay, welcome to my channel. I'm the tech coach, and today's guest is Salma Harfouche. Did I get that name correct?
Yes, you did.
And Salma is actually calling in from the US, which is, I think, 5 hours behind the UK at the moment. So thanks for being with us today.
Totally.
A quick bit about Salma is that you are a cancer survivor, is that right?
Yep.
And you
I was
applied.
uh
Go ahead.
I was a heart cancer survivor, so it was like so crazy because I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. And I know you've got a whole sort of public story on that somewhere,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I try to talk about it a lot because there's so many people that go through it.
Hmm.
So I figured that's pretty good.
And one of your claim to fame, and although it's probably like a lot of people applied for something like 150 jobs, and a lot of people said you don't have any experience, so come back when you do or something, and you decide
Yep.
I've had enough of this, so you just started your own business.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's something that a lot of people in my age group are kind of facing right now. Like, it's great if you can find a job right out of college. That's so awesome that it works for some people.
Mm,
Some people get an internship and then get the job, so they never even have to go through a job search. But in my situation, I wasn't even really sure what I wanted to do. So I just took a whole gap year to just figure that out. And then once I was like, yeah, I'm ready, they were like, well, why didn't you do anything? And I was like, well, I had cancer. I kind of had to heal in my own way and then take it at my own pace. So it was
mm,
just a huge disconnect because I had all this experience in social media already since I was like 16. So I was like, well, it seems kind of silly that I can't get a job in something I've been doing for like 10 years. And it was just so disappointing. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to start my own business. My father has experience in starting his business, but mine was a digital business, which is like worlds away from a physical business. So I did learn a lot of marketing from him just from seeing him throughout the years with his business. But for my situation, it's going to be completely different. Like I'm getting my
mm.
clients through the interwebs. I'm not using the
Oh, I love the
traditional, like,
interweb in our family. Yep.
we love it. We love it. It has gotten me some amazing opportunities and the ability to make my own business without having to worry about someone giving me work or firing me. God forbid, that's something that is so scary and
Mm.
actually takes so many people by surprise. I know when I need more work, when I don't need more work. I can kind of like set the pace for myself. So I think, especially for chronically ill people, it is such a good idea to get on the digital space 100%.
Now, if people are wondering why I'm dressed in a cow onesie today, it's because Selma, if you notice on our LinkedIn, has well, tell has
My
so
microphone
today's
fell.
theme is moo moo.
Woo! Moo-hoo! Yeah, I'm obsessed with this thing. It is like I love cows, it is on my profile. So if you ever want to know why I love cows, it's honestly everywhere. But the gist of it is my grandma has a farm in Colombia. She doesn't have it anymore, but I used to visit as a kid and I absolutely love the cows. At first, I was kind of disappointed there were no horses, but grandma was like, listen, you're gonna have a great time. They're the same thing as horses. Just enjoy the cows. And I was like, what do you? They're not the same. Like I was really upset. And throughout the summer, I kind of just fell in love with cows. And now it's just part of my branding and I can't remove them because everyone knows me as the cowgirl. So I'm like, you know what? This is here to stay forever. And I love hamburgers. So it makes sense that
Mm.
cows are my branding. I'm super American that way.
Yeah, I love Americans. I even have my American flag here today, just in case I couldn't
Yes.
find the cow onesie. But I lived in Toronto for many years and Canada and traveled to the U.S. a lot. Love my road trips to Florida and Ohio and Michigan and back in
That
the
is
day.
so cool that you did that. That
Mm.
is so cool that you did that. I actually really loved Canada. I went to Montreal
Mm.
and Quebec City.
Oh, cool. My parents are from Montreal, and I have some relatives still there.
Oh, that's so cool.
Well, today we're going to actually continue on the theme on the tech coach sort of channel is talking about productivity on the computer. And I'm really excited that you're going to be talking to us about Google because I used Google for many years in many international schools. I set it up in a school in New Zealand, and then I had to go to Moodle, and then I'm now on Teams. And I'm glad I'm learning Teams because it gives me another string to my bow. But it would be nice to hear from someone who's uh, fully Googleized, I guess.
Yeah, 100%.
So
100%.
take it away, and we'll hear from you.
Yeah, so I guess I'll go through, I guess, my journey with tech. Because I'm 26, I think people have this notion like, oh, I'm really tech savvy. But honestly, I was using pen and paper for I don't know how long. Honestly, maybe even until no joke 2 years ago. So my journey with tech is still pretty fresh. I'm still learning. But in high school and college, I didn't really need to use it. Most things were just pen and paper. I could take my notebook to class. Cool. I was cool with writing my notes. And I always got my textbooks in paper. So there literally was no reason for me to touch a computer, just
Wow.
other than to write reports and just print something. And I think that it's kind of silly because I have been on social media for so long. It started when I was 16 and I started doing brand ambassadorships, affiliate marketing, pitching campaigns to brands. And I think it's interesting because if I had used Google back then, I probably would be way more ahead of my career,
Mm,
honestly. But I was just taking it as like something to do for fun. For me, social media was not something I wanted to do. I had, been studying to be a surgeon in college. So it's the whole move to social media business wise really happened more so in 2023. I joined an agency that specifically worked with UGC creators. So, UGC creators are user generated content creators,
mm,
stuff like testimonials, how to's. It's pretty lucrative, honestly. Like, if you manage to do well in it, I really wasn't that good at it. So, I got an agency to help me find clients and they actually used a Google Workspace and they had their own email. And it was actually so convenient because I was able to keep all of my things separate because I had up until then still making content for myself.
mm,
So instead of having everything on one Google account, it was literally a whole separate, email, whole separate drive, um, just completely different workspace. I could keep all of my things separate. And I actually really enjoyed that. And I do like that they used Slack as well. So, like, communication was so fluid. And I would say that was kind of more of my exposure into using tech in my work.
mm,
Up until then, I really only used like visual apps, maybe like photo editing apps, video editing apps. So I really wasn't familiar with more of like organizational apps, which I'm so happy I did. Going into 2024, around the end of it, I kind of started going solo. I kind of just realized, okay, I'm really doing well on LinkedIn. I'm going to continue going with LinkedIn. So my service is really expanded. So I've started becoming more of a LinkedIn account manager instead of an Instagram account manager, for example. I started focusing on personal branding. I became a content strategist and a consultant, a ghostwriter, a brand and content designer. Honestly, any service you need because I've been doing this for like 10 years. So I think over time you just develop skills and you're like, why shouldn't I monetize off that? And I could
mm,
sell it as like a bundle service. But that means my workload is chaotic. you know, some clients just need ghostwriting. Or maybe they just need someone to handle their engagement. Like they're like, you know what? I'm totally cool with the writing part. I need someone to engage while, I'm off working. And I'm like, cool. Other people just need personal branding. And honestly, some need everything to be done for them. Like they just want to say yes or no to the post, to the branding, to everything. I do have some clients like that. So those all create such different needs. And I feel like it can get very chaotic. So I've just set up my work files to be very separate from each other. And that's why I love Drive. Because you could just, it's like having your file in your computer, except you don't have to use your computer's memory for it. That's always great.
mm,
And I use the docs, I use the sheets. So I use the sheets in a really interesting way. Because engagement on LinkedIn is so important, I would probably say the number one most important thing to help your growth. I like to have Excel sheets for my clients and I'll mark down, okay, this person's in their niche. They could be a lead because I also do like outreach for leads for my clients. Some of them are realtors, for example. So I'll go look for people that they in their location that they serve. Maybe they're a first time home buyer. You really don't know those things about people until you have conversations with them. So I like to just have a little sheet of, okay, this is the people that are located in this area who might be interested in buying property. Because she does more of like a general realty thing. She's all for building development, getting investors on board. So she's very versatile with what she wants to do with her business. And I find that Sheets is probably the most important thing we have for her, especially with the LinkedIn managing accounts. And it's not really something I hear a lot of my fellow LinkedIn creators doing. Like they kind of just keep like either a notes app or like a mental check. And I'm like, I don't know how they do that. Like that's so unstructured. You can't even tell where their person is located, what niche they're in, their industry, their company size, or any of the things you really need to know if you're targeting the right people with your content. So I've been huge on using Google Sheets. For presentations, I tend to use Canva.
Mm,
I just like to make them look cute. Like Google would work great for it, but like there's not as much customizing. And
mm-hmm.
I like this little alien in the back. I like to put stuff like that in my graphics. So I do use Canva for that. I used to have a Google site. Now I kind of just don't need a website. My intention for my business has changed a little bit, so I kind of have to redo a website. But if I need to have a website, I'm definitely going to use Google Sites or another really amazing. Okay, well, it's amazing and it's bad. It's like it's a double-edged sword. So Canva now has sites and you can actually get a Canva site and it's going to look like a regular.com site. You would have no idea. The only way you would know, I think, is because it's so fun. Like you can animate the titles and you could put these really cool graphics. But however, I do notice that the SEO strategy is really bad. I don't know if it's changed because I know Google went through a website ranking change. Like they've kind of changed the way their algorithm works and how it ranks websites. So it might be different now. But back then, when I had a Canvas site, it would not show up on Google results.
Mm,
You could like put social gal Sal in the Google search thing and it would not come up. All my profiles would come up, but not my website.
mm.
And I was like, so this is why it's free. I mean, it's not like necessarily free, but it comes with your subscription when you have a Canva, like a pro Canva account.
So just for sorry
But
for those people wasn't sure, you were talking about SEO, right? Search engine
yeah, search
optimization. Okay,
engine
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
cool.
for specifically for websites.
Yeah.
Because it works different for platforms than websites, which is something LinkedIn has taught me. LinkedIn is such a great place to learn things.
Mm,
I really suggest everyone go hop on there. And I definitely think that once Google once Google had changed their algorithm, my website actually ranked higher. So I was like, okay, so now maybe it won't be as much of an issue, but you still need to have keywords in your website in order for Google to rank them.
mm.
So that's something really important to know. I'm not quite sure how Google sites if it's an advantage and they rank you higher because it's a Google site, but like I'm sure that's how it works for Google because they are definitely going to prioritize the people that use their services.
A quick question on the Google sites because I've used them
Yeah.
for years, the old version, the new versions. Can you link, say, Stripe or a payment engine to, or do you just can you embed code like that? That's the part that I
Yeah,
can't
I
figure out
believe
for
so.
you can okay.
Yeah, I believe so. I could be wrong, but I believe you can, especially with Stripe. Stripe is just so easy to use with platforms. Thank goodness. Um, and also going back to Stripe, you can actually give if you don't want to get a Calendly, because some people rather have something for free. That's me. I'm totally cool with that. So there is this website called You Can Book Me. And basically it has your calendar, you can set up times for free, you can set up multiple different time things like for example, I had a free 30-minute consult. So that was one that I did. And then I had another link for like a strategy call. And then I had another one for a virtual coffee. So it's cool. You can create multiple types of links without having to pay. And on top of that, you can actually connect a Stripe payment to that. So if you do your strategy call and you're like, before you book this call, you need to pay this, totally works. So you can book me is really good. I do like them. I know Calendly does that too, but again, some people don't want to pay a subscription. I don't blame them. And then same with Google Meet. Google Meet is free. We can stay on this call for as long as we want. It's not
Mm-hmm.
going to be an issue. You have your own unique meeting link, so you can send a link to someone days before, and it's still going to work the day of. I really appreciate that. And I also love that Google Meet is linked with Google Calendar, and I love that Google Calendar can send you notifications on your computer. Because I am very forgetful. It's no offense to anyone. I barely know what day it is. I barely know what day I schedule my meetings. I really need that calendar. I just have the worst memory ever. So, the fact that you can get notifications to your computer, to your phone, you can interconnect it within all your devices because honestly, it's all based on your email. All you need is your email and you can access the stuff
Mm,
anywhere. So, for me, having that easy accessibility is really important. Um, Also, too, I think for me, Google really just as a brand is just so timeless. It's so classic. Like
yeah.
I grew up on Google. I grew up in 1996, so I was like the 2000s. I was a 2000s kid basically. And Google was like everything. If you needed anything, you Googled it. You know, we didn't go to the library anymore.
No.
So I think for me, my commitment to Google is because of just that timelessness. So they did a great job with branding. And then also I haven't used the ad center for myself. I don't really feel like I ever need to use it for my services really because I kind of just do that through LinkedIn. But I have used it for clients before and it's so nice. I just love how it's so convenient. You have everything in one place. You have all your analytics in one place. What else do I use? Okay, we said Canva. We did touch on Canva. And then another app. I mean, I guess is it an app? I don't know. But I freaking love Notion. At first, I was very resistant to it because I saw my partners and it just looked nuts. I was like, this looks like something I don't get it. It looks like threads. I don't
It's really cool. I've
understand.
seen it. Yeah, I've used it.
It Yeah, it kinda just intimidated me, and then I started working with a ghostwriting agency, specifically a LinkedIn ghostwriting agency for founders and CEOs, and they started a newsletter, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, so here's the Notion, you're a member, blah, blah, blah," and I was, like, miserable. I was like, "Oh my god, like, now I have to deal with this thing. I have to relearn something new." Like, I was so comfortable with Google. I'm not really a tech gal, so I had to have my boyfriend sit down and, like, teach me about Google. So I was kind of intimidated by that. But I think if you're good with Google, even though Notion looks intimidating, it's kind of the same thing. It's just like this whole like directory type system. And I do find that being able to go back and forth between your directory a little bit easier than the drive is very helpful. It kind of feels like a family tree. It doesn't feel like separate files, I would say. So I've gotten used to it, but I'm still not crazy about it. You do have to get used to it, I think, at some point, whether you start working with someone else or you collab on something and they use something completely different.
Mm,
It's good to learn one system, so when you need to learn the other systems, it's not as scary because 'cause you're like, "Okay, well, I already learned this system,"
mm.
and I'm sure some people are, like, hopelessly lost with Google like I used to be. So, I would say even though it's intimidating, you just gotta go for it, and it's okay if you need to, like, read tutorials, it's totally fine if you need to go type into Google literally how to use Google Drive and, like, how to use all these things, like, that's totally okay, just do it, because at the end of the day, it's gonna make your life a lot easier. I remember it used to take me oh god, back when I had pen and paper, it used to take me, I would say, at least 5 hours to, like, come up with ideas and then write something and then copy it from my writing to Instagram, and it just was not a good workflow or a good streamlined process whatsoever. But now, I would say to create one post, it takes me like 15 minutes, and then putting the emojis is like an extra 5, believe it or not,
You gotta have
because I
the
use a lot of
emojis.
emojis. Yes, the formatting, the emojis, like, I gotta do it. So,
Yeah,
that
do you
takes me an
use
extra
any?
5.
You talked about Google a lot. Do you use any AIs like ChatGPT or Copilot, Bard?
Oh my god, let me tell you
Sorry,
about
Gemini now.
oh, let
Yeah.
me tell you my experience. So, I've never gotten to use anything else other than ChatGPT. I really do want to try using something else. I did use the Microsoft, I think it's like image
Copilot.
generator. That might be it. I did use that for logo ideas and it actually gave me some really cool ideas for
Mm,
it. I tried when I got on LinkedIn to write with AI. Maybe I just don't know how to prompt well. Maybe I just don't know how to edit, which is true. I don't edit. So that could be very well be that. But people hated it. People absolutely hated it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to write the way I know how to write, which is stream of consciousness writing, which is actually something AI cannot do
yeah.
yet. It's just something it can't achieve yet. So I'm like, you know what? Worst case scenario, if these AI bots become so sentient and so human, at least they
Mm.
cannot do stream of consciousness yet.
I
So I
used
won't
I
have
made
to
a
worry about my career.
cool. I made a video on I analyzed ChatGPT, Copilot, and Gemini. It used to be called Bard,
Oh, that's
and I
cool.
found actually in all the most of the tests, Copilot came out on top because it adds embedded videos in the bottom and extra
Yeah,
links to
that's
things. Whereas
cool.
ChatGPT is, of course, not linked to the internet unless, yeah, at least the
Yeah,
3.5. But
unless
you're
you
right.
get
I still use 3.5.
exactly.
I've been using it for over a year now, and I can't. I know Copilot's there and it comes up on all my work computers, but mm,
Yeah. Yeah, ChatGPT only 4 is, like, better, but, like, the 3.5 is so limited, and, I just noticed that if I do it myself, but this is because I'm a writer, so granted, this has been, like, 10 years of, like, practicing, I guess
mm,
you could say, content creation. If I do it myself, it takes me all in all, maybe like 30 minutes to post something from ideation to emojis to formatting, which like isn't bad. But I notice when I use anything else to help me, even if it's a template, it takes me like an hour just because I'm like, this doesn't sound like me. And I think it's because I just write so chaotic. I think maybe for anyone else it would work. And I do know friends that actually have tech and AI pages and they grew their page to like I think 100K or 101K, which is incredible. And their whole thing was sustainability in tech and AI because like they really believe it's possible. We can have a completely sustainable planet, green planet. And they just use ChatGPT 4 for ideation and it works for them. Like it
mm,
totally works for them. I think it really depends on what field you're in. It depends on your target audience too, because I know for writers, that's like the biggest sin. Like you cannot use ChatGPT for writing. Like they will literally come at you. They will
yeah.
come at you. And for writing, I don't want to upset the writers, so like I'm gonna stay out of that. But it's very true. But I think when it comes to more like informative type niches, ChatGPT is really nice and using other types of AI because it streamlines your work. Everything's so much faster. I know that I mean I heard Sora can like do like generate like videos, very realistic videos.
Wow.
That's going to be great for people that do visual content because taking visual content is exhausting. I used to do filming and editing for my content. Filming is so time consuming. Imagine if you could just prompt something and it spits back a video. You can
Hmm.
do everything at home. Like that would cut down everything by probably a whole day. People don't even need to have production days anymore to go out somewhere. And people are like, yeah, but like, how is that going to affect our jobs? And it's like, I think it's just going to make the job different.
Mm,
You're still going to need creative people to create something different, but it's just the process is going to be look way way different. And I've already seen that in my work too. Now instead of sitting down and thinking about a logo design, you could literally just prompt like 20 logo designs and be like, I like this element from this one, I like this element from this one, and this one. You take out the stuff that you don't like. That's still creation. Like at the end of the day, yeah, I had help from an AI, but you still need the designer to come in and be like, this works because this doesn't work because this, because
mm,
there's always psychology behind design that a robot is not going to understand. And at the end of the day, I think your knowledge on your field is really what's going to beat that bot. Because at the end of the day, they still can't really analyze trends. That's kind of up to us. We're the ones that decide the trends. So it's not like they can foresee these kinds of things. Like that's honestly really dependent on where we go and where we evolve as a society. They are helpers, but they're not like golden oracles. They can't tell us what's going to happen tomorrow. Not that we can either, but I still think we're able at least to hypothesize based on what we have right now. And they kind of just can't do that. It's not the same level of reasoning. So I'm not really worried about it taking my job as a writer. Maybe if it was a little bit more sentient and weird,
mm.
like maybe, but I don't know. I guess we just have to wait and see. And that's kind of a scary thing. Um, but yeah, I guess that's my rant on AI.
Yeah, I think you're going to talk to us about your workflow within Google, eh?
Yes, yes. So I will tell you my process. It's a little crazy. I get people that look at me a little like side eyed over it, but there is a method to the madness. So on Mondays, I will batch create for myself and my content. So now that I'm on LinkedIn, a lot of my content is written. I don't really have to worry too much about visual content. But let's say I wanted to put a picture, I would either just snap a selfie, and if I wanted to add some cows in the background, I go into Canva. Takes me literally 10 minutes just to like put some cows in there, download it. It makes designing so easy, and I could do it from my phone. So I am obsessed with Canva. And usually if it is just text, so that's probably what takes up most of my time realistically. I don't use pictures for all of my posts, even though I probably should. But I will, based on what I know about myself and timing myself, because I used to time myself, it takes me about 3 hours to make 10 posts from start to finish, like ideation. So I'll basically just do a whole outline of like, I already have an outline. To be honest, I made a 365 days content calendar. I don't religiously follow it. If I just have an idea in my head, I completely ignore it and write the idea. But if there's a day where I'm like, I don't know what to write about, I just open up that thing and I'm like, okay, we're doing number 5 today. Cool. So I already have that set up. So I don't really have to think about things to create. If they come up, that's cool. I'll just go with it. If not, I have a backup plan. So I don't really have to ever do ideation anymore. I just kind of have to write the content now. So basically, I will work 3 hour blocks. So I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I post my LinkedIn thing. It's already scheduled. All of them are scheduled for like the next 2 weeks. Normally, I try to schedule it for a whole month, so I don't have to worry about creating content for myself for the whole month. So, usually around 9 o'clock is when I'll start writing. From 5 to 9, I kinda just chill. I really like to enjoy my morning. If I wanna go on a walk, I'll go for a walk. If I just wanna stay at home, play with my cat, I'll play with my cat. If I just wanna engage on LinkedIn, I kinda just let myself have a morning to myself every morning. Because if I don't have that, I'll go crazy. I really will. I don't like to rush either, so I really give myself a lot of time. 9 to, like, 12, I'll just write straight. Pray I come up with 10 posts. If it's more, if it's less, that's totally okay. I'll go have lunch and really enjoy my lunch. Sometimes it's like an hour and a half lunch. And then if I come up sometimes, honestly, I'll come up with ideas while I'm eating lunch, so that's very helpful, and I'll just write it in my notes app, or I'll write it on a Google Doc and just remember, like, "Okay, if you wanna come back to this idea, that's totally cool." Sometimes that's how I end up writing twice a day, because some people are like, "Why do you write twice a day?" And I'm like, "Well, I already have posts scheduled out for the whole month, but sometimes I really wanna write about something, and I can't wait, I'm very impatient." So I write it for, like I schedule my first post 5 AM, my second post 5 PM. So if you ever see me post at 5 PM, that's a spontaneous post. It wasn't supposed to happen. Um, and then honestly, normally I work from like 5 AM to 10 PM. I know that's kinda crazy, but because I take that morning very slowly into myself, I don't feel like I'm burnt out or I'm drained. I really enjoy my morning. And, I usually end up writing for a whole month for myself, because honestly, it should just take 9 hours. And it seems like 9 hours is a really long time. But if you think about, like, how often anyone goes to work on a normal day, it's the same amount of hours that anyone's going to work, even less actually, so I'm like, it makes sense that I was able to do my whole month of content for myself and schedule it in one day. So then I don't have to worry about that for the rest of the month. It takes up so much of, like, pressure off of me. I don't have to worry about, like, "Oh my god, this isn't planned." I like to be very rigid and planned. And then on Tuesday, I'll batch write for my clients. Um, it really depends on my workload and the client workload. Sometimes I'm able to schedule 2 weeks out for them, because, like, realistically, if I have multiple clients, I need way more than, like, 9 hours to do all their content for the month, so I'm like, "Let's just schedule it for the next 1 or 2 weeks ahead." So that way I don't really have to think about it too much. I can give myself 2 weeks to, like, add on anything that I wanna add on. I usually have 3, 4 clients. They're high ticket clients, so I do everything for them. I do engagement, I do community building, I do branding, I do writing, I pretend to be them, so it's like ghostwriting.
Mm.
It's a lot, but no, like, me being able to schedule my days out the way I do, like, okay, all of my month's content is done by Monday. I can spend the rest of the week working on my client stuff if I wanted to, and I never have to worry about myself. So, even though it's crazy, it makes sense.
Are you
So
keeping
then
all of your work in Google Docs, like one per? Walk us through that
oh,
sort of
yeah.
process.
Yeah, so I basically have a folder for each client. Let me open my drive so you could see. Okay, cool. Mm.
I can edit out any bits you don't want to have in this. So
Oh no, you can see it. It's so funny because you're gonna see a line that says my life plan. I really keep things very organized. So this is my courses folder. These are all the courses that I take. Yes, I use the chat. I actually read this book. It was a really good book. It taught me how to prompt like very basic, but it was back when it was chat GPT, like old chat GPT. So like
mm,
it's completely irrelevant now, to be honest. But these are like files that I have for my courses. These are my interviews. So one of them is me and you. Notice Media. So this is the agency I'm signed to. I have my TikTok ideas on here. This is where I actually track analytics. So I'm very on top of SEO strategy for it. The episodes are in here. That's actually where I just write on Google Docs. I script out the episodes. I outline the episodes. I keep it very organized. This is cute. So I actually didn't have any copywriting experience before I joined my agency. And I don't think you would be able to see this. Oh yeah, you could see it. I literally did like a profile audit and then I gave him examples of like how I would write for him as a CEO. And that's how I got my job. But this is basically what it looks like. You would see 5, this is day 3, uh, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, blah, 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 blah. And this is 10 days. So I gave him 10 days. I was like, this is what, I'd basically do for you if you were my client. And I got the job. Yay. And then I will have one for my business, basically. I have one for my social media management business, one for my personal branding, one as my portfolio, one for LinkedIn, where I like put all of my ideas. And then my business one is, of course, my clients, all of my clients' work. So I know it's like a maze. I call it the maze because it's a maze. There's just folders and folders and folders, but I think it keeps everything so much more clean. And also too, I do keep because I do like to do local businesses too. I live in New Jersey, so there's so many businesses here. So I actually also have a Google sheet of all the local businesses in my area who I check out their social media and I'm like, this needs some work. They're not getting the reach that they need. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. And I kind of just pitch to them. But ever since moving into LinkedIn, honestly, I haven't been doing that. I do kind of miss social media management sometimes, but I think I feel more happier being on LinkedIn account management instead of like Instagram or TikTok because visual content is exhausting.
mm,
Maybe when they come out with Sora, I'll get it and I'll be able to like create stock footage and it'll be way easier. But me having to go to the restaurants or go to the hair salon or go to wherever they need me to go and take that footage and then come home and then edit it, like it's a lot. I really give a lot of props for people that do visual content. That's an art. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of patience. For me, writing content because it's so fast for me, that's kind of something that I was like, okay, this is something I'm kind of meant to do because most people cannot write 10 posts within 3 hours. So I'm like, I should just keep going with that. Um, and then on Wednesday, I will batch create for the big brand theory. So basically, my ghostwriting agency has a TikTok for their newsletter, and I will create video content for them. I will write the scripts again on Google Drive. I will actually upload all of the videos so we can all have access to the videos as a team on our Google Drive. So we all collectively Google Drive and we use Google Meet and all that stuff. And that usually takes me a whole day because I basically write 4-minute long episodes, split them into like part 1, part 2, part 3, and I'll make videos for each part. But I try to do, like, 1 or 2 videos per day. So, like, that's a lot of work. It really is a lot of work, and sometimes I would say that's probably my most workload where most of my workload comes from since writing's really fast because then on Thursday, I'll batch film everything for a whole week, and then it takes me, like, 20 minutes to film each episode, and then I'll batch edit it. So it literally takes me the entire day. I'll usually, like, film from 5 in the morning until maybe 3 PM, and then 3 PM onward, I'll just edit until, like, I'm ready to sleep, and then Friday, I actually write and I plan for my live event that I hold on Sundays on LinkedIn. It's something that I just started literally last week. But everyone keeps asking, they're like, "Are you gonna do this weekly? Like, you should do this weekly." And I'm like, "Honestly, Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, I do absolutely nothing because I go so ham Monday through
Hmm.
Friday."
Hmm.
I'm like, "Yeah, like, I will have so much free time, like, cool, let's do it, let's hang out." So even though it is madness for, like, 4 days straight, the 3 days, you can do absolutely nothing, and I always choose to work, like, that's just how I am, I can't stop working. I really enjoy it, it doesn't feel like work to me, I'm like, "Yay, I'm writing, like, I get paid to write, like, that's so lit. So for me, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays, I either actually learn on LinkedIn, like, I'll go through, posts and, like, try to learn from other creators. I will watch YouTube videos, I'll listen to podcasts, I and what else? What else do I do? Oh, I take courses, I'm very big on courses, very,
Are
very
you on
big on courses.
LinkedIn Premium?
I actually tea about that. So I used to be on LinkedIn Premium, but then as soon as I stopped using it, I experienced more growth. So I was like, "You know what? Fine." I can see why it's so good for lead generation though, because Sales Navigator is amazing and it like Google, it's like a workspace. It completely separates your sales messages from your personal messages. That's amazing. For me, I'm really just trying to help other people on LinkedIn. I don't really have this thing where I'm like, I want to get clients, like I'm gonna make funnel content and I need to hit like a 10K goal. Like that's not me. I'm just like, okay, like whatever happens, happens. Woo. Like I'm such an airhead. I'm just having fun. Um, but I really want to help other people get to where they need to be. So for me, I just felt like Sales Navigator was kind of pointless. I was
Mm.
like, I'm not really out here trying to get clients too much, but for someone that does have a business, that is so helpful to have both of them so separate and they never intercept. Because honestly, LinkedIn is not the best with the notifications. They're not separated, so you'll just have everyone's notifications at once. Everyone if they comment on something, you get it on your notifications and things get lost. So, I think having that separateness is really important for a business. So, I do think people that are very serious about, like, "I wanna get clients," Sales Navigator and Premium is, like, the best thing you could do for yourself. Yeah.
So you're no
But, like
longer on premium for you're no longer on
yeah.
premium. Yeah.
No, no, I'm no longer on Premium because I had like, free trial for a month. And I was like, "You know what? I think it'd be really a good idea if for my clients, especially if I learn what it's like with it, learn what it's like without it, and be like, okay, yeah, you either really need to invest in this or it's like, don't worry about it." If you're like an influencer type person, like you just want to grow based on your image, if you just want to build authority, like I don't really think you need the premium. But if you're
Mm.
someone that's like, I want to get clients, I want to get leads, I think it's a really good investment, honestly. Yeah.
Good tip. Thank you.
Yeah. I think it's really cool, and I know that they make your profile a little bit more visible, so, like, that's always good, right? Like, if you're not really, like, a community building person, if you get that, I think it would help your visibility a lot. I did use it, I wanna say my 2nd month on the app, and I did notice a huge difference in, like, my search appearances. My search appearances when I first went on LinkedIn was 39, now it's 530. I think that's nuts. I'm like, "Who the is looking me up?" Like, that's what? So, that's pretty cool. I don't know if that's because of premium. I don't know if that's because I used more keywords in my profile. You know, once you, like, SEO utilize even your LinkedIn
Mm.
profile, you're doing great. So, I think that could have been from it. It's hard to tell because like, there are so many different variables to the LinkedIn algorithm. It's like, "Did this do this or did this do this?" I don't know. And it's interesting because I made a carousel and it totally flopped, and I was like, why did this flop? Like, I thought carousels get, like, more exposure. It's because I said STFU, but, like, I said the acronym. I didn't actually spell out "shut the front door," you know? I put the acronym, and as soon as I deleted the acronym, because every time you edit your post, LinkedIn treats it as a new one, so it gets more exposure. Yeah, just like a little pro tip.
Mm.
Um, and it ended up, like, blasting off the second that I took out STFU. So that was a learning moment for me, but, like, I do think that it's important to make mistakes on LinkedIn because that's how you learn to not make future mistakes, and you could totally erase them on LinkedIn. That's what I learned. You could totally erase your mistakes on LinkedIn. On other apps, you can't really do that.
Yeah.
Like, once it's done, it's done. There's nothing you could do about it, and I'm like, "Okay," and it's It's interesting. It's been wild because I had been on Instagram for 10 years, and it took me 7 years to grow to 3K, and on LinkedIn it took me 95 days.
Hmm.
Like, sometimes you are just gonna have a better intuitive feeling for one platform versus the other. I don't really like Instagram because they're not very, even Facebook, okay, anything meta related, sorry, Meta, anything meta related is not very transparent about how their algorithms work. They keep it very close knit, they keep it very hush hush. It's not the same for LinkedIn. Once you find out, like, I don't know. I hear things every day about the algorithm changing, and it's usually from people that genuinely know people at LinkedIn. So it's like they're talking about their algorithms just like TikTok does. TikTok talks about their algorithms. They tell creators like, "Hey, this is going to be the new algorithm changes, blah blah blah. If you want to tell your audience, blah blah blah." It's like a quid pro quo relationship. Like, not only are you helping other people on the app, but you have this influencer that is influencing people on how they should be posting on your app. So I think it's
Hmm.
like I do like TikTok and LinkedIn more than Instagram because it's so much easier to learn SEO on there. It's so much easier to learn the platforms and like the rules. There's even people making content, like they have a whole page dedicated on like TikTok algorithm and strategy or LinkedIn algorithm and strategy. So I think that's kind of what drew me to those platforms a little bit more. TikTok, because they took away the music, it's not as fun, to be honest. So, I think that's why we're seeing so many people just kinda be tired with Instagram, be tired with TikTok, and there's always threats about TikTok being banned in the United States, so we're like, "Okay, where can we go?" Like, the only place at this point is LinkedIn, and it is becoming more creative and less professional, which I really
Hmm.
appreciate because I am both, so it's hard for me because it's like I don't wanna be professional because even though I am professional at my job, like, I'm not really professional, you know? Like, I don't like corporate stuff, I like to do things really unconventionally, like, I would probably, like, more or less be more like Velveeta cheese than, like, I don't know, Dolce& and Gabbana or something, like, those are completely different vibes for me, so I'm not really, like, professional, clean cut or anything, I'm more, like, funny, loud, colors, and all that good stuff, so I noticed that it's appreciated on LinkedIn because it's so professional, so I think creatives that get in on it early on, and especially ones that are, like, into AI could definitely hit it off there because I noticed that the people with the biggest accounts on LinkedIn are actually in the tech business.
Hmm.
They're huge. They're huge. I know this woman, God, I can't remember her name, but she's almost at 1,000,000 followers on LinkedIn, and she talks about tech, using tech in your business. That's, like, her main thing, and I was like, "That's really cool," because like, you don't really see that on Instagram. You don't really see that on TikTok. Like, it's very different. Those kind of platforms, I don't wanna say, like, oh, they're silly, but it's just a very different vibe. It's not, like, very educationally centered or value driven as LinkedIn is. So, like, it doesn't matter where you come from on LinkedIn, how old you are, whatever, as long as you're giving people value, they actually stop and they listen to you, and I think that's actually really nice because that's not something you find on most platforms in my opinion.
Okay.
There's a lot of trolls on the internet, but I don't see as many on LinkedIn,
They're out
so I
there.
don't know.
I've heard. I see. We've probably both seen posts on it that yeah, there's sad. Even for me, I get them sometimes, and yeah, people
That's so
reach out. Yeah, for the wrong reasons. You think, well, no, block.
crazy. Block, yeah, 100%.
What do you think about
But yeah.
YouTube then? In
Oh
that.
my god, I love YouTube. Oh, I love YouTube. I really wish I learned more of their algorithm. I was on there when I was, like, maybe 19 at the time. I was there when I was 16 too, but I just, like, didn't think to put video because it wasn't the way it is in like, when I was 19. When I
Hmm.
was 19, it was like, we can shoot stuff on our iPhones, and it's gonna look decent on YouTube. So that was kind of when I started doing makeup videos, and I was posting them on YouTube, and actually it was pretty good. I don't really know how the algorithm is these days, but I'm absolutely obsessed with YouTube. I am on YouTube all day. Like, when I'm on LinkedIn, there's another tab open and it's YouTube, and I'm listening to marketing stuff, true crime, business development, the Rich Roll podcast. Like, I love him because he always brings in like business people and entrepreneurs, but it's not boring. It's more of like they're very much their personal stories, like how they got there, not so much the business side of things. Because I'm a huge believer in if your mindset isn't right, like you're never gonna have a successful business. So I really like to look at psychologically what are these founders and CEOs doing in their daily lives and just what they've been through so I can kind of understand how they got to where they are. Um, I do have a friend that does very, very, very well on YouTube, and they like just started and their first video got like thousands of views. And it was very much a combination of what content they were posting about, but also the way they strategized their SEO. Like they just somehow, I don't know if they studied it. I'm not sure if they just intuitively, because they've watched so many YouTube videos, you kind of learn to intuitively know how to do things once you're
Mm-hmm.
on a platform for so long. And it just popped off for him. And I was so happy. And the clue here is that it was involving, like, maybe you could say social commentary, but for movies and
Mm-hmm.
for media. It's really niche, but social commentary is huge on YouTube. And I think a huge way to know, like, what platform should I even bother building art on is to look at the niches that are successful, not at the people, the niches that are successful. Because there are some people that are just amazing and they're going to get followers no matter what niche they do. There's just something about them that you're like, I just want to follow this person. And that's why I'm like, sometimes you can't look at a person like, I can't do what Mr. Beast does. Like, I'm not Mr. Beast. Same with like David Dobrik. I know he's like canceled now, but that's how people felt about him. Like he was irreplicable. So I think at that point it's important to look at what industry. For me, when I first started my YouTube, I actually did get a couple thousand views because it was the makeup niche in 2016. The makeup niche in 2016 was freaking crazy. Like Kylie Jenner in 2015 had her lip kits. Like people were going crazy over makeup. Now makeup is past its prime. You don't really see people with a full face of makeup. Now they're more like, oh, natural girl look, soft girl era. Like that's the joke on social media now. Like, oh, we're all in our soft girl era. So the same marketing tactics that would work for makeup back then don't work now. It's not about the loud colors. Now it's more of like enhance your look, be natural, look like you're not wearing makeup. Makeup that's good for your skin, makeup that's good for the environment. Like the you really got to look at what's happening in the world and then also what niches are being like really really highlighted. Right now I think it's like tech and AI. That's like it's really coming now, I would say. It's always been around and people have always been into it, but like now it's a whole other level. Like now that we can have Sora and Chat GPT-4, like the sky's really the limit at this point. So I think it's having its thing now. So I think right now, if you want to go into any niche, like it would be good to go into tech or like marketing or business, freelancing, because people are so disillusioned with like the work system now. Everyone's so done with it.
Mm-hmm.
People my age are seeing other kids our age with hella money, making money online. They didn't get degrees, and they're like, well, why the hell did I get a degree if I'm
Mm-hmm.
like struggling? Yeah, and that was a huge reason why I decided to freelance as well. My degree was in chemistry. I did a lot of research, and I also have a degree in applied math. So I kind of planned to go get my I wanted to be a surgeon, but that's not how it worked out. So I kind of just had to like be like, okay, well, what I want to do with these two degrees. If I had graduated at that point, um, I think the most I could have been was like maybe a math teacher with my bachelor's, and then I would have to go get my teaching certification. So that's another time wasted. If I got a job right out of college in chemistry, I could get one, but it would be like 60K. I went to college for 7 years, have 2 degrees, and I was, like, really heavy into research, and I did free research for my university in exchange for no tuition. I'm a really smart kid, like, I'm not getting paid 60K, like, you okay. I mean, I just remember, like, realizing, like, "Oh my god, like, I need to go get my master's and waste more time." And I'm kinda just someone that's really, like, time phobic at this point because of what happened to me. Like, I think
Mm-hmm.
most people don't walk around thinking about their death every day, but I kind of do, and it's just something that cancer did to me. Like, there's not some I can go to therapy all I want, and it's great, like, therapy has helped a lot, but at the end of the day, that's still my reality. Like, I still experience that, and I'm still very much like, "Oh my god, I could die tomorrow. I need to do something I really like today." And we can all do that, so I think it's good that we
Yeah,
all
I
think
think
that way.
that's a good
It's just
lesson. Yeah.
you know? So, for me, it was like, I don't want to spend my life working so hard, so long, every day doing the same thing for 60K and just being miserable. Just because I have health insurance and everything's like really stable. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go for my dream in social media and marketing. Like, I don't care. I have the knowledge. I can do it. whatever. I'm just like someone that is like that people say I'm delusional, like Delulu and Lala, like for TikTok. There's like this whole thing where it's like, are you Delulu? Are you Delala? Whatever. I'm delusional 100%. I think I can do anything. It's a little too confident for me sometimes because I will overextend myself and like overthink. But I think if you don't think that way, you're like literally never gonna move. Because I've been in moments where I didn't believe in myself and I stayed stuck for like 5 years. So I'm like, "You know what? Let's be delusional. Let's encourage being delusional because like, that's gonna push you to do things instead of being
Yeah.
like, 'Damn, I don't know if I can do that,' you know?" So, that's when I decided, like, I'm just gonna go into social media, whatever. I applied to all these jobs, and I really thought that my experiences in my internship was in a cryptocurrency hedge
Mm.
fund.
Oh,
And yeah, so I really wanted to either go into I really I mean, I couldn't be a doctor anymore, so I was like, "At this point, I just wanna be rich, so let me go to quantitative finance." Like, I'll sell my soul, but I'll be really rich, so cool. I can, like if I get cancer, I'll be on a boat. Cool. I'm totally cool with that. I have no problem working hard to, like, work less later. So that was kind of something I was interested in doing, but it just didn't pan out. But I thought, okay, I have all this experience in something. My parents own bagel shops. Like I have something to offer to a company. And that's just not the way it worked. They really could care less that I did research oncological chemistry. Like,
mm,
like they did not care. They did not care about anything other than can you like make company for like money for this company? That's like really it at the end of the day. And I didn't have anything to show for that. All I had to show were, like, my degrees, my research, like, my potential. I was basically trying to sell my potential, and that's really great, but I just don't think companies care about that. They're not risk takers, they're not gonna be like,
mm,
"Oh, wow, like, there's this person that's really versatile and dynamic and has experience in so many fields, like, yeah, let's totally onboard her." They're gonna say, like, "This bitch is chaotic." Like, what?" Like, that's probably gonna be their first reaction, you know? It's not like they get to sit down and hear the story about how I got cancer and I was studying to be a surgeon and I had to change my mind and I went through all this crap, like, they don't care. They just wanna make money. I could respect the hustle, they got people to pay, mouths to feed, that's totally cool, but
mm,
then I realized, like, well, I do too, so I'm just gonna do my own thing, I'm gonna kinda just forge my own path. If they don't want me to be a social media manager for their company, I'm gonna do it for other people, and I'm gonna start by doing it for myself, which I had already done. I grew up to 3K on Instagram, and, that's not, like, anything like, wow, but for a small business, that's wow. Like, for a small business with, like, 50 followers that's really struggling, that's really good. That could bring in a lot of sales for them. So, that was kind of my main mission at that point, to work with local businesses, and I started with my accounts, my social media accounts. I started with UGC with for other businesses, and I did offer campaigns and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I learned more of my strategy with social media. And at the time, that's kind of when I really started to hone in on like, okay, we need to have a system. We need to have a place where you have all your calls because I was having so many calls in the beginning, and I wasn't prepared for that. I was not prepared for that. I started doing calls, like, on the fly, and I was like, "No, this is not organized, this is not professional, like, you need to clean up your acts because people are gonna be like, 'Well, I don't wanna work with her, she's freaking chaotic.'" So that's when I got the You Can Book Me, and just having that was so easy because instead of me having to pitch to people, if they were just interested from the get-go looking at my LinkedIn page, they could be like, "Okay, I wanna work with her, cool, let me schedule this meeting," and I would just get the notification. That, like, made my life so much easier, and I think after the You Can Book Me and the Google Meet thing, I was sold. I was like, "Okay, I need to get on Google, like, full time. I need to start doing docs, I need to start doing sheets, presentations," and I did notice, I would say my 2nd month on TikTok, I'm sorry, my 2nd month on LinkedIn, I was hitting about, like, 90,000 impressions, which is pretty good, that's
yeah.
pretty great.
Huge.
My
Yeah.
2nd month, that's huge. And then on my 3rd month, after I started implementing all of these systems, I hit 200K, and I was just like, "This is crazy." I don't know if it's the systems, but I'm gonna say it's the systems because I never experienced that much growth on any platform in that amount of time. So, I definitely think having a system is really, really important, and I think a huge one that I would tell people is invest in docs and use them. Like, I don't know how other people write. I don't know if they use their app, like their notes app, because that's what I used to do. I used to use my notes app to write. like literally on my iPhone. And it's fine because it's so portable, like it's okay, that's cool. But that's so disorganized because your phone is very separate from your PC.
Hmm.
It's not like you can have that's why I love Google, like that interconnectedness that I can just like if I write it on my phone, it's on my PC. You don't really have that with your iPhone unless you log into iCloud. Like it's a completely separate cloud. So for me, it's like I really prefer Google. And I don't know, again, I don't know how other people are writing, but I like to separate it by like weeks, months. So that way when I go in and I know which post, like, okay, this post is going up on Saturday, this date. If I want to delete that post because maybe I want to add something, I can delete that scheduled post. I can find it immediately in my docs within seconds because it's literally separated by week, by month, by week, and all that. Um, then I can just go find that immediately on LinkedIn, delete it, retype the whole thing with emojis included, and that's it. It's just so much easier because I've learned to do that because I've been in situations where I was like, "Wow, I really would like to add something to this post." And on LinkedIn, you can't edit posts. Like once they're scheduled, you cannot edit them. That's it. And I like to talk. Sometimes I think about things way later on and I'm like, "Damn, that's so good." So then I got to take screenshots of the whole post, copy the text on the script. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just so time wasting, like, it's so time consuming, time wasting. So I found that this method works best for me personally. I am a Google gal. Like, I hope Google sees this somehow and they're like, "We wanna hire her," or something. I'll be like, promoting Google. It is the best thing that ever happened to me. Um, because yes, Notion is really cool, and I love Notion, but it's not connected to my freaking email. Oh, let me show you let me show you how my email is structured because I structure my emails too. So let me actually get to my emails so you can see. Okay.
Have we covered everything on your list that you wanted to talk about? Conscious
I
of your
did
time, but
I cover everything on my list. I'm gonna present this real quick for you. This is
I
my
can't believe
in
how much I've learned in just this. Yeah, about
Oh my god, I'm so glad.
oh, loving it. Yeah.
Okay, so these are hilariously, these are my labels for emails. These are all my newsletters. I'm signed up to so many newsletters, but it helps me stay so organized. So if I want to like read, for example, Grow Solo Saturday, I have it all here. I can catch up whenever I want. I can catch up whenever I want. I can go back to it. I can go back to whatever I want. So I think for me, it's just really important to just keep everything organized. Um, even my emails.
Have you found you're running out of space at all?
No. No, I'm not quite sure why. I actually, you know what? I know why. Once I do read them, unless I'm like, I need to reference this in the future, I usually put notes of them on my Google Docs.
The only
So
reason
the
I
only
ask
thing I
is
really
the only
yeah,
reason
keep
I
going.
ask is because I we were using Google Photos for well Google Photos for all the
Yeah.
family, and we've had to pay for was first 100 gigs and then 200 gigs, and
Yeah,
I've now been getting them out of there and putting them into a Microsoft system. But
you have to.
yeah,
Because the cool thing and the bad thing about Google is like everything weighs so differently. So my emails, the cool thing about them is I don't have to be so rigid about them. Like if
yeah,
find a newsletter that I really like and I'm like, damn, I want to save all of these emails, I'll save them. And I also have my personal account separate from my business account. So I have like seven Google accounts. I don't know if that's like illegal or something, but they let me have it. So I have like seven Google accounts and each of them have a different function. And I will subscribe to different newsletters based on the different function. Like I'm crazy. I really need to have things separate, but also it's a great way to save on space.
well, a lot of
It
people
is
have
a
said
great way to
before
save on
having
space.
systems for your business is key, isn't it?
It's so key. I would go crazy without it. I would feel lost. And I think that's a huge reason why for the last, I would say like 9 years, I didn't really make money off social media because there was no structure. So like I didn't even know how much work I was putting into it. There was like absolutely no awareness, no forethought whatsoever. So I think if you track everything, you're actually going to be able to manage your business better. You're going to manage your time better and you're going to be like, okay, I'm spending too much time on this, this, and this. I need to do this, this, and this. Right now, my storage is at 7 out of 15 gigs. I routinely trash my emails though, and I noticed that docs don't take up too much space. So I think it depends on what you're uploading. Photos, yeah, photos are terrible. Photos, I had to get an iCloud for an iCloud account, and I just go through there because they don't take up as much space on iPhone that I've noticed. So I think it depends. Whereas on the iPhone, I noticed that notes, oh my God, they take up so much space. So it's okay to have different workspaces for different things for sure. I try not to upload as many images as I can on my Google Drive because it takes up so much space. My partner does pay for Google Space Drive, whatever. And I usually send my stuff to him. I'm like, "Here, can you hold this? Cool, thanks." You know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because most of his stuff isn't docs at all. It's all, MP3 files, animation files, because he's an animator, and, he actually loves it. He's like, "This holds all my work for, like, the last" for him too, he's been doing it for a decade, so it's good to have someone that has been doing something for a decade as well, because some people think I'm crazy. So it's good that he understands. He's like, you're not crazy. You just like your thing. You just like doing what you do." Because most people are like, you should work less and blah blah blah. And I'm like, listen, I know Monday through Friday looks nuts, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday is not bad. And I think you just gotta find what works for you. So even if Google's not your thing, some people love Slack. But again, where are you gonna put your documents on Slack?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I'm such a Google person because you could literally do everything in one space. That's crazy. Like for me, I was like, "What? I could do all of my business in one space? That's incredible." So, I'm religiously Google-ish. I'm Google-ish. I don't know if that's a thing, but we're gonna make it a thing. I'm Google-ish.
Well, I'm really conscious of your time here. It's been
Yes.
great having you on the show, and appreciate all of your tips.
Yes.
Like I said, learned so much about. I'm gonna have to research some things like I've never
Yes.
really thought. I think I knew about it, but you said schedule in LinkedIn all your posts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you could schedule so here's the thing. Some people use third-party apps for that. I'm kind of paranoid. I feel like because I think that's against the terms and conditions or something. I'm not trying to get banned. I'm not trying to get banned. So the only downside of scheduling your posts, your app is gonna get a little glitchy if you post way in advance. If you're, like, a week out, you're totally cool, but I noticed once you get to, like, week 3 of scheduling your post, your app gets so, so glitchy. PC is totally fine. PC has no issue. And another thing, another tip, I don't know if people know about this. If you write a post on LinkedIn and you press the exit button, it'll always ask you if you wanna save the draft or discard the draft. Let's say you press save draft and you're on your PC. If you open your phone, so cool, you can open it up and it won't show that draft. So you can, like, totally make a new post there and you can still have your post saved on your PC. So I guess technically you could save your post in 2 places, but, like, I don't know how that works. I don't know if you try to save the second draft, if it deletes the first draft off the computer. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if it's like a one draft at a time thing. It's just something I've noticed. I'm too scared to try it because I really genuinely write the posts out. So I'm like, I'm not risking this. Someone else can go figure that out. But it is something that I've noticed. So that's another tip. What other tip? Oh
Uh,
yeah,
yep.
kind of, but putting links in your post. Don't do that. It like totally kills your reach. You have to put it in the comments.
Oh, okay. So
Mhm.
what about a YouTube link? You have to put that in there, right? So this when I
In the
post this,
comments.
yeah. Oh, in the
Yeah.
comments. Ah.
Yeah. So here's 2 things you could do, and I hate that they do that. Like, just let me post my link in the freaking post. Like, what is the problem? I don't see any issue. I don't know. Maybe they think it's like a spam flag thing. I
Ah.
don't know. But I've noticed that if I posted a link on the post, the reach was just dead. But if I did it in the comments or if I said DM me for a link, which is good. If you say DM me for a link, you get a lot of comments. If people are genuinely interested and then you get more reach because like the comments, so like
Hmm.
better to DM me for link. But unless you don't have your messages automated, that could be really overwhelming. So I think it depends. I think it depends. Um,
Well, I'll be something new
but
for this. So when I go to
yeah,
post about our video, right
yeah.
immediately after I posted, I comment on my post. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. You can comment with the link if you'd like to do that, or you can even in the post say like DM me for the link. Either or is fine, but just don't put the link in the post.
Okay.
Don't do it.
Well, I'm gonna give it a go. See how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Test it out because I've done it before and I was like, well, what's going on with this post? And that's how I found out about it. Because then the next time when I did in the comments, it was totally fine. So I was like, okay. That's so
Yeah,
weird.
I've
I don't
seen
know, they
people do
do
that. They
stuff like that.
comment on their own post, and I think,
Mhm.
okay, well, that's cool. Why didn't they just say it above? But maybe they figured that
Oh,
out
yeah, yeah,
too.
yeah, it's for reach, yeah, it's totally for reach. So next time try it and you'll see that it works. It's pretty crazy. I don't know if they're gonna change the algorithm, I really hope they don't. I really hope they don't, not because it's like a nice that's a nice cheat. But
Yeah.
I know they
So
are going
how
through.
can people get a hold of you? They want you to
Oh,
for
yeah,
work
my
or
LinkedIn. My LinkedIn, you could put my name, either Social Gal Sal will show up or Salma Harfouche, because I know Salma Harfouche is like a mouthful. But my name is Social Gal Sal, and I'm the girl with hella cows on her LinkedIn. You're gonna see cows everywhere and cow puns everywhere. That's how you know you're at the right spot. And I do have a live event every Sunday. This week is actually going to be a special one because it's going to be all about LinkedIn. LinkedIn profile optimization, community building. It's going to be like the whole 9 yards. And we do have like a little Q&A at the end for like 30 minutes. So if anyone wants to ask a question, they can come ask a question. But
great.
yeah, I do try to hold something every Sunday because they asked and I can't say no. Like I'm the worst people pleaser. If people are like, "Oh, can you do this?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." It's the worst.
What time in the you're in the Eastern Standard
Yes.
Time?
I'm EST. It's gonna be 12 in, like, the afternoon EST. I'm gonna be having a host there with me, so I'm gonna be a speaker, and, her time is gonna be 9 PM. So I was like, "That's so sweet that she accommodated me," but, like, what the hell is up with time zones? Like, time travel is real, technically, but that's wild.
Okay, well, thanks again for being on my show, and we'll hopefully have you on another time to talk. Sounds like you could teach us a whole lot of things.
Yes, yes, it was so nice having being here. Thank you, I appreciate you so much.